Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we are looking at the dynamic home point option using the DJI RC2 controller and comparing the DJI Air 3S along with the Neo 2. So I've already updated the firmware on the controller and on the Air 3S. There was latest firmware. You can see here app version 1.19.4. Aircraft is 01.00.1400, RC firmware 08.01.0100. Those are all the main important ones. Today is December the 10th, 2025. Everything's been updated in terms of what the Air 3S can take, and you're just seeing me confirm all of that in here. And what we're going to do, just looking at some settings here, our bypass options, our return to home, advanced return to home. Yeah, so I had created a video a few days ago because I got a new DJI Neo 2, and I noticed it had the dynamic home point option, which really surprised me. So here we set advanced return to home to the preset instead of optimal on the Air 3S. And as we go through these options, just kind of double checking everything. By the way, it looks like max altitude is a much higher value now on the Air 3S compared to what they allowed previously. But anyway, that's just a side note. So here I am trying to see if the dynamic home point option is going to be available. I do have it indoors. Here clicking on the update home point, but it says you got to take off first. So there I am up in the air. I clicked on the update home point, and here you can see on the Air 3S there is no tab at the top like there is for the Neo 2 to set dynamic home point. Now you can manually pick aircraft or controller to update your static home point, but notice the H is in yellow, and when dynamic home point is turned on, it should turn blue, which means the home point follows wherever the controller goes. But you just don't have that option here on the Air 3S as of December the 10th, 2025. Tried it over and over again, made sure the firmware is updated on the controller, the RC2, on the drone. Everything's all up to date, but it's just not there. So I just decided to land the drone, and next we're going to take a look at the Neo 2. Alright guys, so here when I plugged in the DJI Neo 2, even though 3-4 days ago there was an updated firmware, today on December the 10th there's yet another update just for the Neo 2. So here we are installing that. You can see up there in the corner it's 01.00.0500, and after installing it on the Neo and shutting everything off, I tried connecting the controller back to the Air 3S to see if somehow it would update there, but no, it stayed on or I think it's 1400 or whatever it was that I showed previously. It did not update anything else on the Air 3S. So let's speed this up. Okay, so here we can see we are at 100%, and the Neo says their device firmware updated. We are going to connect back into the firmware, or sorry, into the drone, and just test that and show what that dynamic home point looks like in the Neo 2. So I think I was waiting here. I had to power on the drone because it powered off. So let's do that. All right, so we're connected to the Neo 2 again, and this is what I was saying after the firmware update. Sorry, I clicked the connect button, now I click go fly, and here we are in the Neo 2. And the Neo 2 struggles quite a bit to get satellite lock indoors compared to the Air 3S, as we saw previously. Had this navigation system error after the firmware, so I think I ended up powering everything off and on again and get that back, and so here we are. So caution, no satellite positioning, and even you'll see in my other videos, for whatever reason, it just takes longer for the satellite lock to happen on the Neo 2. here we are back into that, the drone is like taken off from the ground. We're in the set the home point, and we're trying to set the dynamic home point up top. You can see what I meant when I said earlier about the 2 tabs. So let's click update home point, and up top there, static home point, dynamic home point. And notice my home point H is in blue, meaning we are in dynamic mode. Again, every time I don't have a satellite lock on the Neo 2, I get these errors about not being able to update that dynamic home point. But eventually here, you'll see in the video, I do get a better satellite lock, and then the dynamic home point does work. So let's fast forward to that section. All right, here we are. We do have the satellite lock, and now when I go do the dynamic home point, you will see it says home point set successfully, and it is blue, and it says updating dynamic home point. So it does keep fluctuating between the satellite lock being good and not so good, but anyway, it did work. And I just kind of wanted to show how the Neo 2 supports it and how the Air 3S does not here on December the 10th of 2025. I would really like to have this feature on the Air 3S, but unfortunately it's just not there as of now. So here we are back in the settings of the Neo 2, just checking everything, making sure firmware's up to date. You can see it's 01000500. And by the way, when I did the firmware update today, it did update the RC2 controller, and it took 2 minutes to update that controller. Usually not like that on firmware updates, so obviously the controller had a big update. So anyways, that's pretty much it, and I just wanted to show the difference. If you want to see the Neo 2 functioning in that dynamic home point mode, I do have a previous video. I'll link that in the description. Thanks.